This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live and very, very sweaty from New York City, heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John, actually back. You weren't here last week. Good to have you again. How you doing?
Great to be back.
All good?
Well.
Good.
Yeah, everything's good.
Joe Hazen rocking the panels. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You're looking good. You came in like a BAT out of HELL.
That's true. Little HE double hockey sticks. Because this morning I was in the sugar, honey, and the iced tea. Got Nastasia Hammer Lopez back. How you doing, Stas?
Good.
Yeah. And are you where are you now? You're in Los Angeles still?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hear Jackie Molecules in the background, also in Los Angeles this time.
Yep, freshly back from Austin, Texas.
All right, we'll talk about that. And in the upper left, Quinn, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Good. All right, so what's up? Oh, by the way, if you guys have any questions, call in your questions too, and I forgot the number. Oh well. We'll get it eventually. But
718-497-2128.
That sounds about right. Say it again, but give it some Sunday.
718-497-2128.
2128.
I'm going to correct you all.
Oh,
It's
geez,
917-410-1507.
Damn.
I wasn't going to say anything. That was the old number.
Oh, wow.
1507.
All right, hold on. Give it one time clean.
917-410-1507.
You call now. So if you want to know how to become a Patreon member or what you get for that bonus, why don't you talk to him, John?
Go to patreon.com/cooking issues. There's a couple different membership levels, perks with every level, including discounts with people we work with, like one of our friends at Glassvin. You get 10% off. And frankly, everyone gets this too with code Dave Arnold, capital D, capital A. Get discounts.
Not my idea, by the way. That code, not my idea.
Discounts with our good friends at Kitchen Arts and Letters and just a whole bunch of other great things. So check out patreon.com/cooking issues.
Yeah. All right. So Austin, Texas, hook me up. What do you got?
Had some good food actually. I didn't realize they had good Szechuan. A few friends took me to a place called House of Three Gorges, which is a crazy name of a place, and that was great. Kamuri Tatsuya, good izakaya. Although the third place I went to, I won't name, but multiple people were like, "Oh yeah, one of the best burgers in Austin. One of the best burgers in Austin." The bottom of the bun was black. You know,
what do you mean, like burnt?
Yeah, just burnt.
Did you say, "Hey, you've made an error," or did you look around and everybody had burnt bottoms?
It was like a divey bar situation where there's a little bit of attitude, so I wasn't going to be that guy that goes up to the counter and like, "Excuse me, my bun is burnt."
Really though? I mean, like, if they have attitude, I mean, what's Austin attitude like compared to New York attitude? Like, on the attitude scale, like, where are you? Like, give me
Not
like,
even close,
right, so you could have walked up and crushed them. Like, how are you intimidated by Austin-based attitude? You know what I mean?
I've lived in LA for 4 years, Dave. You know, I've lost my edge.
You need to come back You need to come back and recharge. Here's the great thing. I've said a lot of negative things about New York, even though it is my town. One thing I have to say, it'll only take you like a week. You get back to New York, and you know you'll go from being like, "Hey, man," like within 1 week. 1 week, you'll have it back, and then you'll be able to go to Austin and get the bun you deserve.
Bun I deserve. That's great.
Was it at least buttered?
Yeah. No, it was like a ciabatta bun.
What?
Kind of.
No.
Toasted?
What planet thinks that a ciabatta is the ideal burger vehicle? It's not. Not at all. Oh my God. I mean, I like a ciabatta. Let's not get me wrong here. A ciabatta is not a terrible piece of bread. You know what I mean?
But not for a burger.
Like ciabatta.
Not for a burger. What do you like what do you guys like a ciabatta for? First of all, when a ciabatta is too white looking, it means they undersalted that thing. They went like closer to no salt. I hate that. Right? I hate that. You know what I'm saying? But like, what do you? I hated that. As Chef Alain said, Chef Alain Sayak. Right when I started working for him, I think I said this on air before. This is the reason I don't shake hands at all when I'm working. Is he reached out his hand to shake my hand, which didn't give me a choice because, you know, he was like, you know, he's like this, like running the school at the time and like, you know, famous chef and all this stuff, French, all that. So I can't refuse my hand. And I say, as I reach out my hand, I'm sorry, I just washed my hands. And I dried them, but not, you know how you dry your hands, but the kitchen towels never get your hands dry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I shake his hand and he goes, I hated that. And so from then on, that day, like, 15 years ago or whatever, I just never, when I'm working, I just won't shake people's hands. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the things that stick with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The little moments
Yeah.
that stick with you. How'd we get on that? Oh, what were we talking about? Burns?
Burgers, ciabatta.
Yeah, ciabatta. So what's a good end use for a ciabatta? I have to say, I was
Like
thinking
a
garlic bread, but no.
sandwich.
Sandwich? Like what kind of sandwich? If it's arugula, mozzarella,
Yeah.
and prosciutto.
Correct.
Give me a more like basic but Italian flattish sandwich. Italian style flattish sandwich.
Mortadella?
Did you read that New York Times article about mortadella?
No.
So there's I forget her name, but she lives there in Bologna. She lives in Bologna, and or Bologna, as we say. And she's like, all of a sudden in the past like 10 years, it went from being a university town and a food town that most tourists. I guess by that she means Americans and Germans, like didn't go to. It wasn't on that heavily traveled tourist route in that area. And she says now it's completely overrun by tourists, and all it is mortadella shops. So apparently, like there's like 30 times more mortadella being pumped out of there than there has been ever before, and every other shop is called Ancient Mortadella Butcher or something like this. Just like scads and scads of mortadella, and like even fake street foods that aren't real street foods going in there, like these like fried ravioli or raviolo or something like that, or fried tortellini, something like this there, and just like unconscionably large amounts of mortadella. And she's like, what the hell? Well, get used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jeez. I remember back when I was in Rome a couple of years ago, they were putting out, bundles of dried pasta on the windows like it was fresh pasta with like the semolina all around it and everything, a little flour mixed in there for good measure just to dupe all the idiots.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
That's a good business model. Dupe the idiots.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's not an incentive to do a good job when no one's ever going to come back. Right? That was the one thing from Freakonomics.
Wow. Yeah.
The one thing in Freakonomics that, and I know a lot of people have problems with that, with the book and with their whole like modus operandi. But the one thing that stuck with me, they were like, you know why all the restaurants in Times Square are bad? Is because why would they be good? There's not even one marginal reason for them to be better, because you're there, you're going to go anyway. It's like, why, I don't know, I haven't been in years, but why was for at least 40 years Tavern on a Green famously the worst food and service on earth, and yet constantly packed? It's because they did not need to give you good food and or service, and there is no reason to do so, right? In fact, you're disincentivized because you're making less money by worrying about making the food and the service good, and so you're actually doing your investors a disservice by making it a higher quality product. So, yeah, why? Why make it good?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why we're not rich. This is why none of us are rich. Zing. Zing on myself. So other than burnt and when you say good Szechuan, how good? Can you get like the fresh stuff there? Can you get like the fresh green Szechuan peppercorns are ridiculous in like a sauce.
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
I don't even know where to buy those here. Is there a place you can buy those here, John?
Not that I know of, but I definitely don't know.
Oh, God, I love those.
Actually, I think you can get them, if I'm not mistaken, this place called is it Mala Kitchen or Mala Market? Mala Market, it's a website. I wonder if they sell the green ones.
Fresh?
But they
I mean, I've ordered their dried stuff.
Don't want
But they
dried.
from Mala Market?
Don't want dried.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got great
I don't
stuff,
know.
actually.
I
They
want
could have a
I want
larger
I want fresh
selection in
green.
person.
I want fresh green rolling around in
Fresh
my
green.
sauce. So good.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You know what's impossible to find when you need to fly to. By the way, I'm flying to Korea. Anyone who's in Seoul, I think there's 5 spots left for my talk. That's in. I don't even know how many days, because it's like I'm gonna be flying for 8,000 hours and then I land and then I don't know how many days. But I'm gonna post it on social media in a little bit. But it's like what's it called? I have like 5 spots left, so I'll post it, I think, and you can go in. Anyway, on the small one. But if anyone's in Seoul who's going to listen to this, so I'm like, they want me to use a Rotovap, right? So get this. So I'm like, what Rotovap? So Buki is sponsoring it. So I finally get to use this state-of-the-art Rotovap with the automatic distillation and all that. So next week when I'm back, because I'm only gone for a couple of days, I'll let you guys know how the new Rotovap is and how it compares to the, good old days of Nastasia and I in a trash room with a Rotovap, like sitting there, like dialing in numbers and spraying butter all over the outside of our equipment to seal it because it wasn't sealing properly. Remember that, Stas?
Yep.
Remember our boy, so I've told the story before, I'll say it one more time. So like, we are so old school Rotovap that I started by building one, which sucked. I don't recommend you do that. And then bought an 80s version on eBay, had to clean all of the poisonous carbon tetrachloride out of it. At least that's what it smelled like to me. And so that's what Nastasia and I used for years. Until one day, did you call them or did they cold call us? Did you reach out, Stas, or did they cold call us?
I reached out.
Yeah. So this guy, this is back, I don't know, they don't do it anymore. Buki US, Robert Crotchfeld came and gave us a Rotovap the day before we went on Jimmy Fallon. I had a brand new Rotovap. That was like, wow. So anyway, I'll work on them when I'm in Korea, but there ain't no way that Buki Asia is going to help out Buki USA. You know what I mean? I don't have a lot of high in the sky apple pie hopes. But I'm going to be using the same thing that like Bars with Shapes for a Name uses, so I'm excited. Anyway, so I wanted to do the old school habanero and grapefruit juice because that was delicious, right, Stas? Even you like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's with their equipment, so if we mess up, I don't have to clean it. I can just throw it in the trash. And I'll let anyone know if there's any glass licking that has to happen when it's over. I'll let everyone know, and then we can have that discussion again, whether anyone over there has to lick glass. I'll be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to do it. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about,
Go back.
Stay that way, or just stay that way.
Exactly.
Stay in the dark. You don't want to know. You don't want to hear it. Anyway. So, guess what is hard to find? Guess what they don't have in Korea right now? Red habanero peppers or naga peppers. And guess what's hard to find here in New York City? I just went to like 3 different shops and I only have 200 grams of red right now. I need 600. What is wrong with people? What the heck is wrong with people?
I don't know. You can bring fresh peppers like that to Korea?
No.
Okay.
No, you cannot. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to pre-blend it with the liquor and put it in a bottle like it's a hot pepper sauce. And I'm praying it comes in.
That?
It's not a fresh fruit and or vegetable.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to bring in
liquid.
There's no rule against liquids. You're not allowed to bring
I don't
in
know.
fresh fruits, vegetables, meats, produce of
Okay.
any kind into Korea. But I have not seen any you can't bring Tabasco sauce in. I haven't seen that yet. You know what I mean? So like for all anyone knows, this is going to be a 20% ABV Tabasco sauce. That's my theory. And if it gets yanked, and I do something else. I mean, as Karen Smith, Jeffrey Steingarten's wife said to me, no choice and no problem. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What am I going to do about it? Fight the Korean government? Go to jail in handcuffs over a bunch of blended peppers? No, I will not. I won't. Anyway. All right. So, Stas, what do you got? You got anything for us?
No.
Big love it. Nope. All right. How's LA anyway treating you?
It's great. Thank you for the care package.
Are you saying, did Quinn send a care package and put my name on it? That's nice.
No.
Are you saying I didn't send a? You saying I did? Are you saying you wish there was a care package and there was not? Is that what you're saying?
No, I did get some food and I didn't know who it was from, so I thought it was you.
No, I wish it was me. That'd be nice. But you would, if I sent a care package to anyone on my own, you should call the doctor and have them come pick me up. 'Cause someone has replaced my head with somebody else's who has that ability to think ahead and be nice. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed whoever it was that sent it to you. It was nice. All right, and Quinn, I know you got some stuff. Did you want to talk? Because Brandon Bird wrote in a while ago, and I thought we dealt with it before on the last show about a base recipe, but we didn't, or no?
Well, yeah, we were sort of rushing through those at the end, so I thought we could revisit it just in case.
Just in case they didn't actually listen
But
to the answer we
also-
had last. Or is it that you wanted to talk about frozen desserts again? I'm just
Well,
curious.
there's that. Also, we can check in with John.
Yeah,
Thank
but,
you, Quinn.
But we will. But what about, as I'm checking with you, I thought maybe you could fold in the Brandon Bird question and like finish it once and for all so it doesn't show up on my piece of paper again. And by the way, I will say before you even answer that, I had two people come into the bar. I have a picture of them. The guy that sent the, and his name just popped out of my head again. Someone look it up and tell me so I remember forever. The guy with the key lime pie idea, the acid just key lime pie idea. You want to hear
Alexi.
Alex, you want to hear something
Alexi.
crazy?
Yes.
He's never made one.
Whoa.
He comes up with the idea and doesn't make one. The hell is that? And also, someone came in who asked a question about, I don't know, he said we never answered it, about something about using a Buchner funnel. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I said don't use a Buchner funnel for any reason ever, under any circumstances, unless what you're doing is filtering a precipitate out of a bunch of acetone, in which case, go ahead. All right, what do you got, Quinn?
Yeah, well, again, the question from Brandon was about, like, a simple recipe. Obviously, again, he had mentioned he has access to liquid nitrogen. So you can sort of take a lot of shortcuts related to texture because you're going to get such rapid ice crystallization. But, I mean, if I had simple recipes, I don't think I would have a career. So...
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you're using liquid nitrogen, because I've made liquid nitrogen ice cream so many times, it's actually not as easy as you would think. And the problem isn't what you would think it is if you haven't done it before. It's actually that you overfreeze it. And it goes from being like soft to like temper into chunks of hard stuff, like mixed in with like under stuff very, very quickly, like little hard rocks, because it'll look like as soon as your beater can't effectively mix it anymore, the localized areas of liquid nitrogen that are left will completely like pebbleize the stuff. And so you end up with a product that actually, most of the time, unless you're good at it, practice with it, needs to be tempered back. The other problem with it is that most people make liquid nitrogen in a KitchenAid and do not attempt to make liquid nitrogen ice cream in a KitchenAid without the silicone-coated spatula. If you don't use the silicone-coated spatula, you are in for a world of hurt because it's just going to freeze to the outside of the bowl, and then that stuff's never going to come off. And then get the spatula, because then it acts a lot like an ice cream maker, because any ice cream maker, the dasher is meant to scrape against. And that's actually my problem with the white, what's it called? White Mountain. So like I used to have a $2 thrift store rival ice cream maker that was, a salt and ice, which to me is still superior method, salt and ice. And, unless you have a $10,000 machine, salt and ice. It's either salt and ice or $10,000. That's like, those are the two speeds.
I mean, the creamy's pretty good.
I mean, that's not a traditional ice cream maker. That's Paco style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with salt and ice, if you do a good job and you have a good machine, you can get a batch time of like 9 minutes, something like this, without having it be too much of a problem. And so, once you get, they tell you not to do that because if you stop turning even for a second, you get a lot of freeze down on the side. But I'm a lunatic, so I'm going to keep it going. So I had a rival that did a great job, and then I bought the White Mountain, which is, the sine qua non of old school things, and it's got wooden dashers. And they I'm old timey, wooden dashers. Old man, like what the hell? Just use a real dasher. You know what I mean? Like use an effective modern scraping device, White Mountain. Like certain things you're old timey enough. The fact that you're going to use salt and ice and you're going to crank it, you have become old timey enough. You can upgrade to a silicon edged plastic dasher system. I'm just saying, So I never got the quality out of my White Mountain that I wanted. Anyway, what else are you gonna? Oh, the other thing is you got to remember, Brandon, Quinny Quinn makes most of his specs, and I don't know, I haven't looked at your calculator yet, but do you have a spec for freezer temp, Paco temp, and the Quinn style? Quinn style means that you add so much sugar to it not sweetness, but sugar
Well,
solids
texture.
to it
Yeah,
to
generally-
make. Hold on, let me to make it so that the texture is dippable right out of a standard home fridge. So those are the three styles.
I break it down to two styles. Did some testing. So there's like what I call direct service, which you call Quinn style, which is you're serving directly out of the deep freeze. And then the creamy, at least, when you process it, it brings it pretty much right to the temperature after you process.
Yeah.
So they're sort of tempered, and using a blade style machine is the same formula.
Yeah. I would wonder whether or not an unstabilized Quinn style ice cream is going to have I guarantee you it has a much higher meltdown than because I mean, I would assume that because your delta T is higher, right? So, the melt rate of a product is proportional to how much solids are in it, what the difference in temperature between its freeze temperature is and its current temperature, right? So that is one thing that that affects the melt rate. The other is the actual kind of what's called the diffusion constant, the how fast the molecules can move into solution as things melt. So that's why I think, from all the research I've done, alcohol melts things so much faster at a given melting temperature, right? Alcohol will melt faster, I think, than sugar because alcohol is just a smaller, faster kind of diffusing molecule. So your solution, your gradient, your concentration gradient can move faster. And the other thing, of course, is air. Any air you add is going to slow it down. Fat also, and then last but not least, the stabilizer. So I think if you were to use maybe one of Quinn style, with less stabilization, it might get a faster melt rate. Have you tested that yet?
I mean, no, because I want the stability not only for that melt rate sort of regulation, but again, I want it to be a little dense and stuff. So I haven't done much like low stabilized product. I mean, obviously, I tweaked stabilization down a little bit if there's like incidental or solids like in the ingredients, but I never completely eliminate them.
Yeah. So I used to do like Breyer style stabilizer cream, stabilizer free, like Philly ice cream. And if you have a good machine and you're going to eat it right away, that stuff's ridiculously good. But got to eat it right away. You know what I mean? Like, got to eat that right away. Can't overturn it or it goes butter. It's just like super high fat, right out of the machine. Eat it now, go home. You know what I mean? Or you're probably already home if you're eating it. I had one last thing. Oh, yeah. What's interesting, I don't know whether people have thought about this too much, but melting too fast, bad. But also melting too slow, bad. If ice cream doesn't melt at all, people are like, what the hell? Usually it's in cheaper ice creams that are like very lightweight. So you get something that's lightweight. It's when someone hands you a cone. By the way, you guys cones or cup people?
Cup.
Cup. I'm cup. Joe? Cup. Stas?
Cup.
All right, Jack, you're the last. Cup?
Ready? Obnoxious answer. Waffle cone in cup. You know how they do that? They put the cone on the cup,
Then it's just a topping. Then it's just a topping.
Yeah.
Then
All
it's
right, well.
Then it's a clown hat for a clown eating it is what it is. Anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
But I mean, I don't dislike the taste of a waffle cone. I'm not going to say I dislike the taste of it. It's just I vastly prefer not having that crab drip all over my hands and just having a spoon.
Oh, yeah. That's why you got to put the cone in the bowl,
Yeah. I was at a place that their dipper 2 days ago. I was in Williams and Massachusetts, and the place their cabinets were out of whack, and so they had to put all of their cones in cups. I was like, wah, wah. And they still put the paper on the cone.
Oh, no, that doesn't make sense.
That's big dummy time.
Yeah.
Take the paper off the cone. If you're gonna serve it upside down, what do you mean, chew on the paper? I'm gonna lift the cup upside down? Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Absurd. All right, well, I don't know where we're talking. Oh yeah. So like the classic way of measuring meltdown on ice cream, I swear to God, is they take a little mesh screen that has a certain size mesh, and then they make a standard hockey puck of ice cream. They temper it to a specific temperature. Then they put said hockey puck on the screen at a specified temperature. I don't know what all the specifieds are, but it's all standard. And then they just wait and they measure that screen over time to measure the drip. And so if it's so stabilized that even once it's melted, everything stays above the screen, it's considered very bad. Very, very bad. Although that's the way we always used to make our flaming ice creams. And all of our flaming ice creams were so highly stabilized that you could probably drop it off a building. Not really. As soon as it's a fluid gel. So as soon as you scoop into it, it's theoretically a liquid, but man, it'll hold its freaking shape on a wire mesh. Anyway, so you're still telling Brandon just go look up those two calculators? Is that where we are, Quinn?
Well, again, the problem is that there's no simple recipes in my collection. I don't think.
Well, I mean, what's simple? I mean, like simple is just you can buy the stuff, right?
Well, I mean,
how many steps? How many steps are your recipes? Do you have to do you have to do a game of Twister to do it, or is it just you have to buy some ingredients? There's different ways to look at simple, right?
Most of the sorbets are just blend.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's not even cooking. You don't have to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to get people. Okay, if you guys are going to ask us questions like this, we need. Here's the information I want to know. What do you mean by simple? Right? Because to me, simple is I can walk into my cabinet, I have the stuff, I can blend it together, and I don't have to wait 5 days for this gel to set and this to bop beep 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 beep. There's not a bunch of kikats things that I have to put together and do. Right? That's simple, even if it has like a fairly large number of ingredients or if it's like fairly calculated. Right? Everything is simple is in the eye of the maker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Anywho, but also, Brandon, I'm sorry to say, Quinn is, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've told me that you're not a fan of the, and a lot of people aren't. I am because I'm lazy as hell. The base that you can mix stuff into. You know what I mean? Just like have
I know that is, in my opinion, the absolute worst technique for making flavors.
Okay, well, I mean, I have to say, if you're living in the real life, and if you're living in the real life, and you need to be able to make stuff on the fly, you know what's real handy to have around? A rich creme anglaise. You know what I mean? Just like in the vac bag, have it done. Rich creme anglaise. The sucker was made before. It's all good, and you know what? It may not be the most of any particular flavor, but it's a good base. You know what I mean? And then you can have flavor to it. I know you hate it, but I'm just saying, in terms of simple land, that's simple.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was, like 10 egg. I think it was 10 egg yolks. Shoot, how much sugar?
I have it because I tested your
10 egg yolks.
Actually started working here.
It's 10 egg yolks. 10 egg yolks, 500. This is how simple it is. I can still remember it all these years later. 10 egg yolks, 500 grams of 500 mils of cream, 500 mils milk. I forget how much sugar. Probably in the area of 200. And then
140 something.
And then vanilla if you want it. If you want to make your base vanilla flavored, I wouldn't, right? Because you can add vanilla later. And salt. I would guess like 1.5% or something of salt. And 80. You drop it in the bath at 85. It drops down. You set it at 82 for roughly 15 minutes. You slap the hell out of it when it comes out to get rid of the curds, and it's a decent base. But Quinn hates it, so it's fine. It's fine. You can hate it. That's fine. I'm just saying I've served many hundreds of people that with no regrets.
It sounds great as a French style creme anglaise.
You know what's delicious?
Mixing it with stuff.
You know what's delicious? French style creme anglaise. It's just delicious. There's a reason the flavor that I grew up loving is French vanilla. You know why? Because it's delicious. You know what I mean? And if you're going to go stabilizer free, there's no better stabilizer free recipe, I think, than one with an egg custard recipe. Even who hates egg custards is Sam Mason. Of course, he also stabilizes the hell out of them. He actually puts the egg yolks in, but doesn't cook them. At least he used to, because he doesn't like the cooked egg flavor. But I'll say if you vac it hard, if you just Ziploc it, you get the cooked egg flavor. If you vacuum it, and I've done these tests, and I didn't think it was going to be the case. If you vacuum it, which is hard because it wants to bubble up, which is why you shouldn't blend it too much or let it sit for a while before you vac it. It doesn't get that sulfur flavor. Anyway, what are you gonna say, Quinn?
Okay, I just went back to my notes because I tested your crema glaze with your caramelized onion flavor. So it's 170 grams of sugar.
170. Yeah, but the onions. Well, I don't think the onions are gonna have that much sugar to offset.
I know, I'm talking about just your base.
Oh, you tested just the base without the
I
onions.
made your base, and then I blended it with onion puree.
Right, but you'd never spun the base on its own.
No.
Right. So the onions have a lot of water in them, right? So, I mean, that was something we used to do all the time. I haven't had it in a while. You really got to cook the hell out of those onions, pressure cook them. You know what I mean? And then get rid of the water. Anyway, I haven't made that in so long. You know what I want to make again? The potato ice cream. I love this stretchy potato ice cream, but it only works LN and it only works day of. It loses its stretch overnight. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Whereas I think the gelatin one might hold itself.
Does it starch retrogrades or something?
I don't know. It also I made it once with like local potatoes in Colombia, and it didn't work. So like use russet Burbanks because I know they work. Everything has to be exactly as written in the recipe, or it's a finicky recipe. Let me put it that way. It's a finicky recipe. All right, John, what do you got? What have you got this past couple of weeks?
Boy,
it's been a long time. It's been like a month.
It has. I have finally rolled out the new menu.
Oh, yeah?
It feels good to get done.
So hook us up. Give us some.
So a water zooey at a Gantoise. So there are two types of water zooey in Belgium. There's a chicken one, and then there's like a freshwater fish one that comes from Ghent, which is the town my dad was from.
So tell them what it is in general, because it's not a word anyone knows.
I'm getting there. So it's fish with a cream sauce, leeks, carrots, potatoes.
Isn't it served in a bowl, like soupish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have it like a nice little sauce at the bottom, leek-infused cream with a little saffron, potatoes, carrots, and then a really nice piece of striped bass on top, crispy skin.
What did you say about leeks?
Leek-infused cream.
So what's
just blitz up the leeks in the RoboCoupe, sweat them down really well, and then just steep it with some heavy cream for about an hour.
Then strain
it out, yeah.
So what do you do with the strained leeks?
I haven't thought of that, actually.
We got a family meal. Actually.
Yeah.
Man, the stuff
still good. Yeah, I don't know. It does.
You know what? Family, not for blend that stuff, put in mashed potatoes.
What I should just do is actually, like, I also have a leek stock to cook some leeks in, and I made a soup with that. I should just mix it in there, and then bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. Don't throw away all that.
No, no. I mean, I do
creamy
that with the
leek
stock.
action.
Yeah, no, but creamy leek action
You know what
is
else?
really good.
What if how much flavor do they have left? Probably enough, right?
Yeah, enough.
And maybe in with some spinach for family.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no, absolutely. Yeah.
Cook spinach.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for new things to make for family. I hate making family meal.
Why do you have to do it?
Well, we split it up 2 days each over the course of the week.
Isn't the point of it so that like the younger cooks get to test stuff out? Why the hell would you ever make it?
Well, there's only one younger cook, Salvador, and he refuses to learn anything new as much as you push him.
Sounds like he's not long for this job.
He's isn't. He started out, as a porter and has kind of been working his way up. So just like lacks the confidence in his palate to figure out what to put together.
Okay. But so it's not from lack of desire, it's lack of confidence.
Yes.
Oh, so
yeah. No, like every time he makes something he tries, but he makes the exact same thing every week.
And what is it?
It's the Salvador special. It's we always have some ponzu around, so it's chicken cooked in ponzu, and then whatever vegetable scraps. He usually goes for the sweet potatoes, the carrots, the zucchini.
Oh, I hate this.
And then the onions, ponzu, and then white rice.
Hey, here's your sweet potato and zucchini scraps. Go beat your head against a wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God.
So tired of it.
I would get tired of it. The first time I'd be tired of it.
We try to get him to do other things, but yeah, he just it doesn't click. Try and show him new techniques, things to do, and it just doesn't. Yeah.
Every time I like sweet potatoes. Every time I try to love them, I just can't.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving.
Yes. Well,
as a side dish.
Yeah.
Stas, don't you also not love the sweet potato?
No, I'm fine with it.
Fine with it? How do you like it, though?
Sweet potato?
Yeah, do you like the whole one where they give you the whole one in aluminum foil?
I like it with marshmallows and pineapple.
So Thanksgiving style?
Yeah.
But not like it's just a whole thing to like slug through a whole one.
No.
No. I mean, people love that, though.
Yeah.
People are like, ooh, I want to snarf my way through an entire sweet potato. I'm like,
Yeah, we do.
yeah?
Yeah, we skin first, the best part.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to scrub the hell out of it or no?
Breakfast. Yeah,
Really?
Actually, it's breakfast. Yeah, we eat it for breakfast a lot.
Cold or hot?
We actually prefer it cold.
So you cook it the night before?
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes a little lime on it, sometimes not.
Lime. That would be a welcome addition, I think.
Yeah.
Do you wrap it in foil and then poke it so that it gets those little sugar marks on the outside of the aluminum foil?
No, we don't poke it. We do wrap it, and I blast the hell out of it from the night before, and then it's just pretty much on the counter. Next morning, it's full on breakfast.
I think my problem is that every time I have one, I'm just like, I wish you were a potato. I wish you were a potato. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that. Say when I was in Alaska, like there's this place they made this. It was called Grizzles or something like that. It was an outdoor place, and their food of note was caribou hot dogs. Everyone has reindeer and caribou hot dogs there, but if you actually go to the store where they sell them, it's like 1% reindeer. You know what I mean? It's like beef, pork, reindeer. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of reindeer, because I guess they only get to slaughter like 1 or 2 reindeer, and so then they have to mix that in. They call it a reindeer. So it's kind of a lie. It's kind of a lie. But they make these things called gutter tots, which are tater tots and fried cheese curds with like their sauce, which is a good combo, and like, you know, peppers and all that nonsense. But they also mix sweet potato tots in, and so for like 3 days they were out of tater tots, and they only had the sweet potato tots. And I'm like, we got it once because we were so hungry and there wasn't a lot around. Plowing through an entire bowl of only sweet potato tots is just a sad situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this texture. Oh, you know what I mean? No good.
Yeah.
No good.
No good.
No. I mean, like, don't mess with a tater tot. You know, like who invented those things? Orida? Or I used to know. I actually looked this up. Was it Orida or was it Simplot? Or Simplot and Orida the same? And then the other one. But like, don't mess with a tot.
Yeah. Don't mess with
Tater tots were invented by Nephi Grigg of Orida. Okay.
Orida, yeah. I mean, it's a genius thing. I got these potato scraps. I got to do something with them. I think there's a fire in our building. I'm not worried about it. You guys worried about it?
No.
There's some sort of alarm going off in our building. It's
Door's
fine.
right there. We'll be good.
Yeah.
Covered and smothered.
Exactly. Hey, do you guys want to know something interesting? If anyone can hear this who has a solution for this problem, Joe Hazen has a studio called Newsstand Studios here in Rockefeller Center. And we have an interesting problem. The problem is this. The actual interior of this space is landmarked. He can't do anything to the 3.5 to 4 walls we have in here. And there's a big window, which means he can't sound isolate. And what we need is someone who is in the insulated glass business who wants to sponsor Newsstand Studios and put an insulated piece of glass on the outside, which we are allowed to do.
Double pane.
Yeah.
With gas in between.
Yeah. So
Angled.
You'll rep them out, right?
Of course I will.
Yeah. And it's not just us. Cherry Bomb, a bunch of like Martha Stewart comes on this piece.
A lot of people come use the studio, and I'm having a hard time keeping noise out.
Yeah. And, you know, there's got to be someone that listens to one of these podcasts that is like, you know what I do for a living? I make double insulated glass with gas in between. That's a good sound barrier. I'm gonna work with these people, right? Someone.
I love it. Thank you. Please.
Yeah. All right. Justin Cheryl writes in, Dave mentioned making shagbark hickory syrup some time ago. What is/was the ratio of bark to, I assume, simple syrup? I have only a small amount of bark on hand, so I can't experiment too much. Well, someone who's got a calculator? Anyone got a calculator?
I am a calculator.
All right.
Number?
So the number is 300 and let's do it the other way around. 1600 plus 700 is
2,300.
all right. divide by 378.
Hang on. That one I actually need to do on a calculator. 378?
Yeah. Remember when I said calculator? Yeah.
Well, let's try to show off, Dad.
All
All right. 0.68, etc.
Zero. Okay, so about 0.7. Let's call it 0.7, right?
Well, it's closer to 0.6.
Oh, 0.7. 0.07.
0.68.
What? No. 20.
Oh, sorry. I missed a zero typing. Okay. 6.8.
6.8. All right. So 6.8.
6.08.
Right. So
6.08.
Yeah. So 6.8, or we call it 7 times, call it 6.8 times whatever the bark weight is, add like 6.8 times as much water to it. Stick it in a vacuum machine if you have one, and suck a vacuum on it a couple of times. And the purpose of the vacuum is to push the water into the pores of the bark. First, rinse the bark. Get rid of any mold or lichen on the outside of the bark that might add a flavor. I don't think it's going to be toxic. By the way, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, shagbark hickory is it's a tree that makes hickory nuts, delicious nuts, but very hard to shell. Which is why they're not commercial. They're very closely related to, but taste better than a pecan. And the bark comes in these, like, it grows in these strips that can be torn off of the tree without damaging it. So you don't rip all of it off, but you just go on the tree and you pull off the outer pieces, go around the tree, harvest it from a couple other trees. Make sure you're not, in my neighborhood, make sure that you're not also grabbing poison ivy, because a lot of times poison ivy will be going up the hickory trees. And pull it off. And that's it. You don't have to harm the tree. You don't have to tap the tree. You can do it any time of year because the bark's not fresh. It's not the inner bark. It's the outer bark. Rinse off any lichen or, mold, dirt, whatnot. And then I break it into tiny pieces, and then I vacuum it in the water to infuse the water directly into the pores so that when you do the next step, it is good. Then you boil it with the bark until it's about 0.615 times its original volume, and then pull it out, and then add an equal weight of sugar to make it into simple syrup, and that's what I do. Right? Okay. Alexander writes in, hello, everyone. So Alexander asked about black garlic, and I have to say I've been running around, but I'm gonna read this anyway. I've always been under the belief that it is a slow Maillard reaction, that the whole fermentation thing is just a translation error between some languages and English. Our head chef, however, disagrees, which had led me to sit down and do some reading. I came over an article in which you don't have full access. By the way, Alexander, whenever you need full access, go to Sci-Hub. Just search Sci-Hub, and they dance around a lot. So Science Direct, and I believe you quoted Science Direct. Every once in a while, Science Direct will take a whole bunch of their journals, and for a week or two, they'll be off Sci-Hub, and then Sci-Hub will steal access to it again. So, keep checking. Not that I'm telling people to steal, whatever. Anyway, or call a friend who at a university. So the argument is that what happens with black garlic, which is where you put, garlic, you wrap it, you keep it humid, and then you heat it up to a relatively hot temperature. I forget what the number is, but hot enough that,
like a minimum 60.
Yeah, hot enough so that you're not really growing, a culture, let's say, right? And then it turns black over time and sweet, and the flavor, transmogrifies into something delicious, and blah, 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 blah. And, Johnny Hunter, I think, was one of the early people who did quick versions of it, because it used to be weeks and weeks and weeks at a lower temperature. And he's done quicker and quicker versions with rice cookers, with hot boxes, and all that other stuff out of Madtown. Anyway. So for a long time, it was thought of it. People would say it was like a fermentation process because they wanted to lump it in with other actual fermentation processes like miso, right? Now, I don't think it is, right? And so, what this study is saying it lists all of the flora, the microflora that are in black garlic, both before, during, and after. And it shows that, in fact, there is some growth of, different cultures in the black garlic over time. However, as far as I can see in my extremely cursory reading of this article, it doesn't say Oh yes, and the flavor contributions that those bacteria that are not dead, right, make is blop, blop, and blop. And so I think the vast majority of anything that's going on in this situation is, in fact, just as you say, just the slow cooking of it, right? I could be wrong. I often am, but I would say that if there is an actual fermentation going on, it is a minor constituent of what's going on.
I feel like Ariel's written about this somewhere.
And what did she say?
Let me look.
We can ask
up.
her.
True.
And then someone Quinn, reach out and see whether she has an answer for this.
Yeah, on the Mad feed. She's
Is there in her book? How did you got an article?
I don't know. What does she say in the Mad feed about it?
Let me see. Ask the doctor about black garlic.
Yeah. Johnny Midwest asked about smokers. Did anyone, Quinn, get to us on Discord about smokers that they recommend for outdoor?
I have to double check the responses to the forum.
I have the it's at my mom's now in Connecticut, but when I was living in Connecticut, I was using the Weber Bullet smoker, and I liked that a lot.
I mean, I used to have one of those way back in the old days, but I figured that there's a much higher technology one than that
True,
now.
maybe.
Are they automatically controlled? The way it used to be, we used to just stick the little...
But
do you use the electric burner or do you use your own burner? We used to have the one where you could either fire up your own smoke and put the chunks on top, or you could stick that little electric doodad, that little squirrely heater.
No, if it was just...
And you put it down low and you put up...
Like a water... main thing in the middle, yeah.
By the way, going back to your other thing, water zooey, what the heck kind of name is that?
Oh, I don't know. It's fun to say, though, isn't it?
I mean, it is, but is it the kind have people been ordering it? Because it's kind of confusing to say. I think some people stay away from words that freak them out.
Yeah, that's something I've been debating about. I mean, it just went on the menu on Saturday, so we'll see. I think it's also going to take a lot to change people's mind to think of coming to Temperance for food rather than just coming for like the wine bar stuff.
Yeah. What would you think about calling it fish soup?
Amazing. Succinct, right to the point. No, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, you also launched Bitterballen, right? I saw on Instagram.
That's true. Those have been going down really well.
Also, doesn't sound like what it is.
No, true. But yeah, also
because people are like, oh, it's bitter balls.
Yeah.
People don't want bitter balls.
No, they
do
don't.
They?
No, but I mean, they've been ordering it, so.
No?
Yeah.
Styles, what do you think? Fish soup or water zooey? Which would you go? I think Styles might be a water zooey person. I don't know.
No, fish soup.
Fish soup. Remember the time, Stas, that we made that changwa, that Colombian milk soup? We made the fancy version, and we kept on saying changwa, and people were like, "What?" And we're like, "Changwa, what?" And then we're like, "Milk soup."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "All right, I'll take the milk soup." All right, so that's one vote for the Weber. Recently, if you're going to work inside, a lot of people use the Big Chief and Little Chief because they're just so cheap, but they're not the best. You know what I mean? I've never had any experience with I don't know whether you want one of the new fancy smokers. Like there's all these new fancy smokers. I've never used a Brunson, which uses the pellets. I think some people hate on using pellets because they don't want anything pre-done for them. But then some people love the convenience of a pellet because it's just pellet go, pellet go, pellet go. And then you can put the smoke generator and you can make your own smoke box. And it's a lot easier with one of those things to do. If you're a cold smoke person, let's say, you can just put that through a chilled flue and you can get a much colder smoke. You know what I'm saying? So I know some people love I've had people make their own like Brunson versions that don't use pellets, that use chips. So you can look up on McMaster Carr cartridge heater, and because that's basically what a lot of those things are. So you shove a cartridge heater into a box and you just tune it by hand until it starts smoking, and then you put like chips, soaked chips over the cartridge heater, and you can do a DIY on that as well. The fanciest one, Chef Jeff Butler, he did a cartridge heater with a humidifier, and I think he put it through a jockey box that he could put ice into for doing dead cold smoke. And once you do that, you can just, pour it into an old refrigerator and do whatever you want. So, it goes anywhere from the lowest technology, which is like the Little Chief, Big Chief, which are just fundamentally, I think, just pieces of stamped aluminum with a heater in the bottom of them. To the Weber bullet, which is still not really temperature controlled and it's only for hot smoking, to Brunson. I think they're called Brunson, and then like up from there. But I don't have a lot of current experience. I was hoping somebody on Discord would.
I would also recommend check out Meathead, AmazingRibs.com. He does really good breakdowns of all these different types of things and will help, I think, point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we had him on the show, like 4 years ago? 5 years
Maybe
ago?
longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah, when his book came out.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Rock Baker wrote in, when can we expect the new edition to drop? Are you referring to the edition of the book or the edition of the Spinzall? Or
Talking about the liquid intelligence.
Yeah. Sorry, Rock. I couldn't hear the question. Sean writes in and said, if I eat wheat, I sometimes, but not always, experience a great deal of intestinal discomfort the next day. I have lived in Canada and the United States. Recently, I consumed a great deal of wheat for 2 weeks in London and Scotland with no apparent ill effects, including lots of the standard supermarket sandwiches on the go. This has made me wonder if my ailment may be limited to specific wheat varieties. Do you have any sense of how the wheat varieties that are primarily used, especially for mass market commodity crap, differ between the UK and North America? And how would you set up a program of testing a variety of wheats at home to search for the evil ones? Well, that's an interesting question. Okay, so Sean, straight up, maybe you're just allergic to the U.S. and Canada. I'm kidding. I know a lot of people talk about wheat varieties, especially older wheat varieties, being significantly better for certain people's gut health than other varieties. And they say a lot about how there's some sort of terrible thing about modern wheat. And I just don't believe most of it. Now, the vast majority of breads in, bread flour, specifically bread flours here, are made with, Canadian and like northern, like North Dakota style hard wheats, right? Like hard winter bread wheat. Sorry, hard spring bread wheat. So if you and very highly refined, and it is very high protein. And it works great for bread. So I would just buy. Now it's going to be a little conflated. You can do it without a mill. You can do it in a Vita Prep. The loaves aren't going to be great. Actually, I have a graham recipe. I have a graham bread recipe. You can follow.
You can make crackers.
Okay, but I would say in a Vita Prep, buy a bog standard like hard spring wheat. Right. And use that mentally in place of like standard bread here. And then I would buy a middle of the road soft winter wheat. Right. So the Chorleywood process, which is the process by which Wonder Bread is made, was actually developed in England to make very fast loaves of bread using kind of lower protein English flours. And the English do import our stuff and Canada's stuff, but they also use some of their stuff in the mix. So I would just try those two wheats. And then if you want a third wheat, get a soft winter, although it's not going to make great bread, and dope it. You can dope it with Vital Wheat gluten if you want, and just make a loaf, or as Quinn says, a cracker or a porridge or a gruel with those three, and see if you have a different, because we have such good access to that kind of like northern spring wheat. That's a possibility. Now I don't know which varieties are super prevalent now, but you could also go back in time. If you get a wheat called Turkey Red. Turkey Red is actually the same wheat that was used in Hungary to make some of the best flours in the world, in the 1800s and the mid 1800s, back when Hungary was at the top of the flour mill game. I wouldn't even know what a modern variety to test against is. Or you can just buy like a sack of King Arthur bread flour, because that's what that stuff is made out of, and then do that versus just buying a hard winter wheat.
Yeah, here's another thought I had. When they say when they eat wheat, it's sometimes, but not always. Could they be sensitive to some sort of dough conditioner if they're only eating like prepared bread that they haven't made?
Except for the UK is, like I say, the godfather of messing with bread that way. So if they're having sandwiches in the UK, like I doubt it. In other words, like usually like America is seen as the bad guy, but really it's England that ruined bread. You know what I mean?
Like what about all like the niacin and the riboflavin that's added into the breads and stuff like that?
Yeah, maybe.
I would just be curious.
I have the same
if
problem.
They just literally make
cereal
bread from scratch. Do they have the same effect?
With
any bread,
with like King Arthur, with like King Arthur or Heckers or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
An American wheat, yeah. And then you could actually buy on, you could have someone ship you like standard bread flour from the UK, and you could see whether or not there is a difference there. Might be the conditioners, but like I say, I don't know. I'm somewhat doubtful. Like a lot of times, it's only been a couple of 100 years, and while the what's it called, the yields have gone way up on wheat, since the 1800, way up. But I just don't know that the varieties are that, chemically or nutritionally different. I've never seen any real studies on it. I've just heard people say, they'll say like Red Fife, Red Fife is like maybe a couple 100 years old. You know what I mean? From Canada, and can be either winter or spring. And so it's going to be different depending on how it's grown, although I couldn't get that much of a taste difference because I've tried them both in flours. But it's like, it's not like, the wheat of our ancestors. You know what I mean? It's still like a relatively tweaked out, domesticated wheat. We domesticated this stuff thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me know though, because I'm highly interested. And like I said, I'm usually wrong about everything. Maddie writes in, I'm a regular bread / pizza baker, and I've been making sourdough in semi-scare quotes. Would you say a single quote is like a semi-scare, like a little bit of afraid of a single and like super afraid of a double? Sure. Yeah. Sourdough roti for a new menu at work. Okay, using Atta 75% hydration on Atta flour and 20% starter. I've been curious, what makes flatbreads like pita / roti puff up and inflate? Ooh, this is a good question. We are doing a leavened dough for roti, which is not traditional. So I know it isn't fermentation bubbles that normally makes it puff. And there seems to be something to the rolling, smashing down of the bread. I've tried stretching like a pizza, thinking instinctively that would preserve bubbles, but it doesn't puff right. I've also tried rolling out ahead of time, but those also fail to inflate. It seems important they get rolled out soon before cooking. Does anyone know the science that causes inflated pockets in these breads? Yes, Maddie. Here's what's going on. When you are making a leavened bread, or even like a crumpet style bread, right? Or even a flat pancake style bread, like injera, right? The bubbles that are formed when you're putting it on the pan, you get those crumpety or an injera or in regular bread, those big bubbles. All of those bubbles are formed during the mixing, right? And then just increased during the leavening section, right? And so that's why, the actual folding over of the bread, if you're doing like a no-knead recipe, that fold that you do, and then you kind of, mid or 2/3 of the way through and you fold it, makes a difference because you're including more air bubbles in and smacking it down. When you're puffing something, right, you're not using inflated bubbles. You're using this bubbles that have already started, and you're trying to make one giant bubble. And so what you need is a high hydration dough. It's important that you have a high hydration dough that is machinable, right? Which is why you don't want to roll it out too far in advance, because you don't want it to dry out. You don't want the inside to dry out, but you need to dry out the outside. You need to have a wet inside with a dry outside. That's why normally when you're doing it, it's one side down, right? Cook it until it sets, flip it, cook the other side till it sets, flip again, put over fire. It sometimes starts puffing on the first flip. But as soon as it sets, then you can heat the middle, which is still liquid, up, it still has, not set yet, up to boiling, create that steam bubble, and it separates the two cooked things. And this is why with pita, what you'll do is you'll roll it out, you'll let it leaven a little bit, but you'll let the outsides dry a little bit, but not so that it gets cracked, right? So then, boom, it automatically has a way to hold the air in while it puffs. So it's all about high hydration doughs where you're not overcooking it so that there's still a layer in the middle that can puff up. So that's kind of the secret. High hydration, which is why you want whole wheat flour, right? That's why atta is good. It's very fine, so it's not going to bond together into like little bricks. It needs to be very finely milled flour, and the finely milled atta flour has extremely good water holding capacity because of the bran in it and because of all of the damaged starch. That's why it's particularly good for this. But I don't know what adding bubbles in terms of sourdough is going to do it. I would just try making a standard first and get a thing, roll them out. There's a lot of good videos of people rolling them out. I have gotten good, or was at one point good at doing the magical rolling technique where it automatically rolls itself. But I found it really doesn't matter as long as you don't tear it. And the temperatures are critical. So just practicing, you get the temperatures right. The first time you do it, 10% will puff. The second time, 30%, then 50, then 60, then 80%. I was at a good 80, 85, 90% full puff, and I'd have to start from zero again because people who do this for a living make it every day. Anyway, let me know what's going on. Cooking issues.